Hello, and welcome to our presentation on immigration rights by Miracle Lynch, Victoria Jean, and Keisha Bunkins for Philosophical Foundations of Social Work by Yeshiva University. What are immigration rights? People who immigrate to the United States, regardless of their legal status, have fundamental rights that are protected by the U.S. Constitution. These rights include the right to due process and equal protection under the law, which guarantee fair legal proceedings and safeguard against discrimination. Moreover, everyone, including non-citizens, have the right to remain silent and avoid self-incrimination, meaning they can choose not to answer questions from law enforcement or immigration officials. Undocumented immigrants enjoy protection under the Fifth and 14th Amendment, which uphold their right to due process, so they cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without fair legal proceedings. Additionally, the 14th Amendment ensures equal protection under the law, emphasizing that every individual, regardless of their immigration status, is entitled to equal treatment and should not face discrimination. Who are the stakeholders? These entities are referred to as stakeholders. Prominent stakeholders in immigration and immigrant policy within the United States encompasses the federal government, state governments, voluntary agencies, employers, families, current workers, local communities, states, and the nation as a whole. These diverse stakeholders possess differing perspectives and priorities. However, their interests are interrelated, underscoring the intricate nature of immigration and the necessity of identifying solutions and harmonizing humanitarian considerations, economic requirements, and national security. Social problems, which are issues discrimination, exploitation, limited legal protection, barriers, which include access to healthcare, housing, education, and jobs, the risk, wage theft, unsafe conditions, family separation, and hate crimes. Immigrants often lack legal representation and face detention and deportation. Why are immigration rights important to society? It supports social justice, economic growth, inclusion, and community strength. Immigrant rights play a vital role in creating a just and flourishing society. They ensure that fundamental human rights are respected, drive economic growth, and cultivate a more inclusive and vibrant community. Safeguarding immigrant rights straightens the very fabric of our society and encourages fairness and equality for everyone. It encourages integration, cultural diversity, and social cohesion. Immigrants infuse our communities with diverse perspectives, rich cultures, and valuable skills that enhance our shared environment. Family-based immigration not only strengthens our communities, but also encourages social integration by allowing families to settle together and support one another. It allows pathways to citizenship, fosters stronger communities, and reduce social tensions. When immigrants are provided with pathways to citizenship, they are more likely to fully integrate into our society, participate in community activities, and contribute to building a connected and resilient community. By fostering inclusivity and understanding immigrant rights play a vital role in alleviating social tensions and forming stronger, more cohesive communities. If these immigration rights are not addressed, what will happen? If these immigration rights are not addressed, neglecting human rights of immigrants has serious repercussions affecting individuals, communities, and society as a whole. It increases the risk of exploitation and harm, especially for women. It undermines asylum access and due process. hindering asylum access and due processes. Actions such as prosecuting migrants may obstruct their chance to apply for asylum and strip them of essential legal safeguards, occasionally resulting in devastating consequences. This can lead to returning people to danger. The troubling practice of sending immigrants back to countries where they may face danger, especially when they haven't had a fair chance to explain their situation or apply for asylum. This not only undermines due process and the fundamental right to seek asylum, but it can also result in immediate harm or force them to return to the very country they escaped from, a situation known as chain refoulement. It violates international human rights and can have fatal consequences. Why should the social work profession care about this issue? Does it address any of the social work values? Tied to the National Association of Social Workers 2018 Code of Ethics, the social work profession should care deeply about immigration rights because the issue is directly connected to the core values of the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics. Immigration rights are not just political or legal matters. They are fundamentally human right issues that intersect with social justice, human dignity, and the ethical responsibility of social workers to advocate for vulnerable and marginalized populations. Social justice. It fights systemic oppression. Social workers are called to challenge social injustice and work on behalf of oppressed and vulnerable groups. Dignity and worth. Respect every human being. The value of upholding the dignity and worth of every individual means recognizing the humanity of all people, regardless of their immigration status. Human relationships, the importance of it. Preserve family and community bonds. Social workers value human connection and are tasked with supporting the preservation and strengthening of those bonds, especially when they are threatened by unjust immigration policies. Service advocates for those with limited access. Social workers are called to put the needs of others above self interest. This includes providing support and advocacy for immigrant populations who often cannot access the services they need. Integrity and competence. Practice informed ethical care for immigrants. Addressing immigration rights also requires that social workers operate with integrity and cultural competence. Understanding the unique needs and experiences of immigration population is necessary for ethical and effective practice. Does it require social activism and or policy change? Yes. Systemic change is needed for long-term impact. The issue of immigration rights requires both social activism and policy change. The current immigration system in the United States continues to subject individuals and families, especially those who are undocumented or seeking asylum, to inhumane treatment, legal uncertainty, and social inclusion. These systematic injustices cannot be resolved through individual interventions alone. Social activism plays a vital role in raising awareness, humanizing the immigrant experiences, and building pressure for legislative change. Activism raises awareness and it drives reforms. If you were part of a social activist group, how would you ignite interest in your topic? Social workers must ignite policy reform and advocacy. As future social workers and leaders in policy, the issue of immigration rights have profoundly resonates with the disciplines and ethical moral commitments to dignity, equity, and justice. It offers cultural competence and services. To raise awareness, we must leverage a combination of advanced strategies, including multimedia campaigns, policy workshops, and narrative methods. to amplify the stories of those directly affected by unfair policies, confront social biases and structural barriers. As practitioners and policy advocates, social workers have a unique role to play in strengthening policy reforms, protecting human dignity, and dismantling structural barriers that undermine equity and fairness. Our discipline's values require us to pursue policy change through education, direct service, policy analysis, and organization initiatives designed to empower communities to realize their full potential and to safeguard their human rights. Using the course's theme of the dual nature of man, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird profoundly underscores this moral inconsistency and understanding in a context marked by racial prejudice, reflecting the struggles of undocumented people in a society that exposes fairness while denying it in practice. This underscores the necessity for policy advocates to confront unfair structures and bias within ourselves and with society to align our actions with our values of equity and justice. Connections between the literature and immigration rights. Questions. How can social workers balance addressing the structural policy issues affecting undocumented communities while honoring their unique human dignity and individual stories? How can social workers advocate for undocumented children? Thank you.